I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You've received the minutes of the previous meeting. What are your wishes?
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Jeff?
For your consideration is the fees that we're establishing a fee to purchase permanent easement, temporary easement, and then what we would pay for permanent and temporary fencing. I brought you guys the list of current sales, property sales. And we averaged all that out to come up with our easement purchase rate.
And when was it previously figured? Like how long have they been?
It's been a couple years, yeah.
Numbers up or down a few years ago.
Yeah.
$5 up.
Move approval.
We have a motion for approval. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, you have your rates.
Awesome. I'll set my whole heck of a lot significantly going on. We've got our plows, had our plows and sanders on. Make sure they all worked on Friday for this snow event. Did not need to go out this weekend, so yay. Outside of that, working on a few our plan sets for M Avenue paving next year and getting some projects set up, squared, and then also finishing out for Heartland's project and they're west of Conrad, working on closing out our, I think pretty much Aspro's closed out on green products. And then start a prep process for PCI's portion of Pioneer Road.
Any other questions for Jeff this morning?
Still cutting brush apparently, I see.
Yes, we'll be doing that as much as we can.
Good deal.
So.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, we're back on the discussion, possible action on the street intersection signage.
I believe that I'm on just to kind of see where you guys are at and if I should be working on something.
Yep, we tabled it last week, wanting more information, more clarity as far as, I don't know, bills, and I guess Chase, do you have some information on?
So can I get Chase in that seat?
You can, and you guys can fight over the hot seat.
So after last week, we did some diving into bills. And in my 3 years that I've been here, we have paid 2 bills, 1 bill twice. The 1 bill was for $2,000 some dollars. Let me see if I have that. And they get all my stuff put together. I was just babysitting a stray dog at our annex building.
Oh.
Not an hour. Okay, so it was for $2,000 some dollars. We purchased 34 stakes, posts out of 50 that the engineer did. Didn't know what they're for, just said posts. It was right around the time Grundy Road finished up, so we figured some of it was part of that project. The other one we paid for 25 sign anchors to the DOT after they had sent the bill over to us. Paid it once in June. You guys kept getting late notices. We paid it twice, never got credited back for one of the payments. So we don't always know what we're paying for. But in my 3 years, those are the 2 bills that 911 has paid in regards to intersection signs.
And then, so. Jeff, this one came as 12 signs on it. Is that, am I reading it correctly?
Yes, 6 for Grundy Road and 6 for, I wanna say 215th, but you'd have to look at the actual invoice. So last time. From my paperwork deep dive, that back in 22. Is that
Yeah,
bill?
it's 22.
Yes, we so secondary roads invoiced. Made an invoice out and it got paid then.
By the
You'd have to look at who it
sheriff,
was
it
to.
was addressed to the sheriff.
I did not see the
So that
actual,
would have been
Let's say if I,
317, that was before.
that was before, because I had September 17th, 11th, something like that. For 25 posts.
And so then that was just the post, not the actual signs at the top.
Correct, it was
So,
just the posts. And my 3 years, we have not paid for a green reflective sign that I have seen, an actual intersection marking, we have paid for
and that,
posts and anchors.
and that would be concurrent with, Hindle's assessment of when we actually, how many green signs we've actually purchased. He cannot recall in the last he thinks 2 or 3 years since we actually purchased a green intersection sign.
so the signs are holding up, it's the posts that
So some
have
posts
damage
are,
or.
yes, if we can reuse a sign, if it's knocked over, we will reuse a sign if we can, if we can. I know he's told me this morning that for the life of him, since before he even started, there has been an small inventory of green signs that he dips into. Like B Avenue, which half of them were, I think he said. Hardin County runs the B Avenue signs, but we have some. They own them,
Not sure how it works, I guess. with-
so I'm assuming somebody back in the day bought a bunch of B Avenue signs and. Found out that Hardin County owned it, was responsible.
Yes, I have a little, what are you asking us to do as a board?
So how this all started, a little trip back. Is the 911 board is still going to eventually come and ask for that radio tower money. That 20,000 from Cover 2 LLC. They have equipment on the 911 tower out at the engineers building. Jeff came and talked to the 911 board, that's when we got the figures of 160 hours a year for 911 sign maintenance for labor, 95.38 for the truck, showing what secondary roads has for expenses going towards 911. To show that they believe they're entitled to that money also. That's how we got on the whole intersection sign thing, and then it came to the question, well, who's in charge of them? Who's taking care of them? And that's how we got to here.
And you would like, for one thing, you'd like clarity as to who's taking care of them and.
Who's taking care of them.
Like, so there's knowledge of how many are being done.
How many a year, because if it's tied to a project, that's something you can present to the 911 board. We meet quarterly and then we can track which ones are done. Like when I do, not to confuse everybody again, when I do the blue 911 address markers, I have it in on a spreadsheet, the date it was requested, who requested it, the address, the date I install it. That way, and kind of throwing, hog truck drivers under the bus, they like to hit them when they're pulling in and out of hog confinements. If I'm replacing the same one every 6 months to a year, we're moving it somewhere else, so we're not paying for a new sign all the time. And then if they have a 10-year lifespan on them, we keep these records where if we have it for 911, we know, hey, A through D Avenue, they're 10 to 15 years old, they're probably gonna be coming due again. But we can't really budget for what we don't know. And nobody really likes to pay a bill for what they don't know what they're paying for. Like, we know we're paying for signposts,
But where they're
but
going.
where are they going?
Okay. So I guess it's clarity.
Yeah, that's, as one voting member of the 911 board, I think there's a process that it can be done at. But I also think I struggle with, and I don't know city code, I know you said cities are differently, street signs are under infrastructure. Cities have equal representation on the 911 board. How can we tell a city that they can't get some reimbursement for their signs if it's infrastructure, but then we can turn around and pay the county signs when if they're not considered infrastructure? I don't know where that line is. I'm not a lawyer, thankfully. That's you. So I don't know if it's infrastructure one spot, how is it not infrastructure another spot?
And you don't wanna open that door.
I don't wanna open that door,
Okay.
because if you have a volunteer agency, you're on the 911 board. Like Morrison, they don't have voting representation on the 911 board, because they have Rhinebeck doing their fire and ambulance. So they don't have that portion of it. But if you have a volunteer agency, you are entitled to some 911 funds. And the county doesn't pay in, so we can't say, well, the county gives this much and we're going towards street signs. County doesn't pay in, the city doesn't pay in. We're managing state funds.
Okay.
So without opening a whole can of worms, what is the easiest way to do it that it's uniform across?
I am under the understanding is that the sheriff department gets some of their money from the cell phone bill, right? For the 911, is that?
That the 911 bill, the 911 funding from the state helps pay for some of the radios and whatnot.
Nothing to do with signs.
Nothing to do with signs. It does with the address signs. But that is
Different.
not, yes. 911 surcharge money has to go to the receiving and dispatching of calls, emergency services. Address signs do fall into that, but I don't know where we can tell the city then, since we dispatch for cities, we can't help pay for your new signs.
Just to be clear, signs aren't infrastructure, and if I use that word, that was inadvertent. I have not double checked signage within city bounds, but cities are responsible for their own streets. That is their jurisdiction. So that is the basis of my conclusion that street identification signs within a city are the city's responsibility.
Is that to say that they could not come to the 911 board as a source of funding for it?
That I do not know.
But that's not what we're talking about today.
No,
But
but
it
do you
could-
see how that can
but it
open a
could
can
play
of
into
worms
it.
for it? We're
Yeah.
paying for 150 around the county. What is 20 in Wellsburg? And now we're drawing down that funds. We're trying to do radio upgrades because our radio system has been neglected for a handful of years. We're operating off of repeaters for our emergency services that technically aren't repeaters. And the current radio project down in Conrad is 22 to 26,000 bucks with a new cabinet, new radio equipment. And then with the state starting to take money away. And then I don't know if you all have looked into the Doge report. They also want to consolidate PSAPs, so your dispatch centers. If you do not have a 24/7, that was one of the recommendations. If you do not have a dispatch center that's open 24 hours, 7 days a week, you stop receiving state funding. That is the requirement for it.
Oh,
It's part of their whole regionalization. I mean, emergency management's in it. They want to regionalize that, regionalize PSAPs. I think Deputy Tripp can talk about, they've tried that before, and state radio said, yeah, we can't do that. So if you think about somebody dispatching somebody, Rhinebeck ambulance to Zanetta Road, and they have no idea where Zanetta's at because they're out of LaPorte City or wherever, coming into work at post 9.
Pioneer Road technically ain't Pioneer Road.
Mhm.
We all know it.
No, it is
Yeah.
not.
I believe
It's
it's
been
Pioneer.
renamed Shildrock Avenue.
Yep, that's right.
So, not to throw another wrinkle into it, but if we're looking at long-term sustainability as 911 is under the gun. Like we can, as a one voting member, we could help pay for some of these signs, but it might not be sustainable if the state keeps dipping into
And in that case, then you would be approaching the county for funds to continue
Mhm.
keeping that going.
So if you were to approach the county for funds, where would that money come from?
To me, right now, there is that radio tower money that goes to the county treasurer. Then it is the board's discretion on where it goes. It's been going to the engineer's office. In the agreement, it says the check is paid to the treasurer. That's not dipping into anybody's current funding limits. That's 20-some thousand that they're paying rent to the county.
But for today's consideration, and according to our agenda, we'll be dealing. With mostly the sign. How many signs then? How many posts do we think? Yeah, because obviously it's really not the signs, it's the posts that.
It's the posts, and according to the 2023 federal US DOT manual, you can even mount intersection signs on a stop sign. So we could even move them if we had to. There's guidelines in that when I was reading through the traffic device control manual. So there's different posts that qualify for it. You can mount them in different spots, options, opinions on it. I don't think I would think I left that there too after babysitting the dog, so I'm sorry I don't have that with me unless it's in one of these over here. But there's other options, and the DOT federally does have an opinion on intersection signage for conventional highways. They're listed under traffic control.
Do we know what other county with this, is it, do you know if it's come up in other areas?
I know when I first looked into it, Story County, it's all under the engineer. They take care of all signs, minus the home address. In Wapello County, it's 911, so it still comes down to your guys's. Those counties, however, also have a 911 coordinator, potentially 911 staff, and they have some more of those resources available to them. Technically, our
So they have-
911 coordinator right now is partially myself, Jesse, sheriff's office. Zach takes care of some of the bills. And it's been a learning curve because Penning did a lot of it himself, and now we've dispersed it out to kind of even the burden from people.
But correct me if I'm wrong. The 911 board that presented this bill could still say, we're not paying this, right?
I think so.
Because they're their own
Yes.
entity as established by code 34A.
Yep.
And so
Or
that's
605, chapter 10 within.
I mean, it could come to a point where there would not be signs, if
They could
they
be,
choose
yes.
to not pay that. We choose to not pay.
Yep.
They would not have to be there.
Mm. And then it becomes not only an issue for responders, general public, because they're traveling these roads all the time too.
Say I had someone who works on the roads and said they wouldn't know for sure what road they were on if they didn't have the signs.
Mm.
So there is that question. And what was is that on here? The signs. These are actually the signs.
Yeah, I don't have the one for the post. That was $2,700 or $900 at that time in 2022. The anchors were $27.75 for 25 of them. And that was just 2024.
So, $20 a piece, so.
So Jeff, these are part of the reflectivity test also, or are they not?
Yes,
Okay.
Kendall does grade them.
Knew that he did reflectivity test, but I wasn't sure if it was on these as well. Have we seen a lot of them fading out to where they're not reflective anymore, or is it, they would be better than?
Kendall told me he estimates about 30 needing replaced currently. Now, if you do drive S-75, I am told those are hardened counties. And they are fairly, they have not been replaced for a while.
They're crummy, I've driven that.
And I think this is going to be an issue other countywide, because if it was all started late eighties, early nineties, and nobody knows who for sure, they don't have something in writing prior of who's taking care of them.
But it's been my experience, if the state mandates something, mandates a county does something. They mandate it and then expect you to fund it as a county or a city. It's the way traditionally, they don't allow it. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the worst part, is we don't have any of this in writing, we don't have an agreement
Hmm.
with a lot of this stuff, and I think that's where we're trying to get to at this point, is to actually have a written agreement between the two entities. So there's no more questions.
Yeah, as the 911 secretary and currently working on the budget, it's a lot easier to know. Like, we meet quarterly, if you can give us an update, and then if it comes down to 15 a year, this is how much is signed, obviously we've got to work with. How much prices might go up. But if I don't know how many to budget, I don't know how many to budget. And when we're working on dwindling funds, because the state's dipping their hand into it, then it's, you know, what else are we going to have, where am I gonna have to cut something else?
And Kendall's night vision will be happening between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So we will, so come December, January, we should have a number on how many signs, what location, and everything like that.
So when he does it, is there like a scale, or is it just, these are good, these are bad? These
So there are
these
two
rank
different,
need to be done right now, these could wait one more year.
there's two different ways to do this. Number one, we can purchase a reflectometer gun. In which a guy goes out, sticks it up, measures each face. And each color, so typically 2 colors on each sign. Or the one we are currently using is that somebody of the age of 60 or more can go out and at night with their headlights, and if they can see, they rate it good or bad. If they can see it. And that is our current method, and it is the cheapest and most effective use of our time.
It's what the normal driver uses.
Yep. And so there's a scale on which the book has and stuff like that, and there is a standard for it set by the Federal Highway Administration.
I mean, I guess what I'm asking is if we settle, if there's a limit set of, I don't know, 10 signs a year or something, and you have 13 that come in bad, can 3 of those wait, or does it have to be adjusted? I mean,
Well, I
that's,
mean, so we can always change our way we are presenting them to the 911 board and give them, hey, here's our sign list of what needs, good, here's our bad list. Tell us what you want to do.
And they could go out and drive it themselves if they wanted to make a decision, I guess.
Correct. Because once I know, because we also use this to purchase all our other signs. Once I know, then I can compile a list and put it together for somebody else's approval.
I'd just like to see a fair way to divide up the cost between the two entities, I guess.
So have we been not replacing the green signs in the last 3 years because there's been no bills presented?
So the last time Kendall told me that he put up a green size sign was 2 to 3 years ago.
Word Ready Road, so.
Well, so we purchased 2 to 3 years ago, so. 1 to 2 years ago was the last time we actually purchased or actually installed.
think the green signs are an important thing for the people in Grundy County. I would hate to see them disappear.
Yeah. Because,
I think we should maintain and keep those signs up to date. Whatever means it takes to accomplish that. But I think that should be our goal.
I think so
Has
too, because
anyone
I,
ever told me for certain who paid for these signs when this thing first started, when it first got off the ground? Who paid for what?
Jeff had some of that. I'm gonna defer to other people. I was in kindergarten.
So, my records. The 911, the E911. Telephone or phone service money established in '86. Was, and then the E911 service board is who hired. Sign up out of Webster City. To install them, and they were purchased by the service board to purchase all of them. They were, that is to my,
That's
to my,
county records?
in my files here from Gary,
but was it
or well, I guess it would have been from Holcomb.
a state grant then to get that established?
I don't, the E911 service.
I was gonna say, I know a bunch of firemen who talked about putting those 911 address signs in at the beginning. I don't think any company did that.
No, these are the green signs.
I did the blue
You're
sign.
talking about, I'm talking about the green.
Yep.
Yeah,
So the green signs, so
okay.
my quick history search. So legislative. General Assembly passed a law in '88, signed by Governor Branstad of May 6th of '88 to set the basic wireline 911 system in Iowa. Primary purpose of the Associated Uniform Rural Address System and mandatory sign was to promote public safety by allowing emergency personnel to find an address quickly and effectively when responding to 911 calls. Actual implementation mandating, so I know in '84, sign up LTD of Webster City was hired to install all the green signs initially. And I'm assuming it was right around $60,000.
Okay, do we know who paid the $60,000?
It says here on so I have an old agenda. And at the bottom was E911 payback, $10,000 a year times 6 equals $60,000. March '95, 69,300. So this, I can only draw off of conclusions off of this here. I do not have an invoice for sign up LTD. But I do have invoices from Iowa Prison Industries. So here is one from December of '94 that just had first. Sign 911 signs, aluminum series, grade C series. 3-inch grade C series supply. Freight charges, 911. So and then later I've got invoices from Prison Industries, Rick Penning, E911 sides, paid by Secondary Roads, so we were reimbursed on. For $180.20. I mean, it sounds like about that time we were replacing signs already. or purchasing the signs and then getting reimbursed. Sign Up LTD was installing them. And then I have sign and post invoices. Here's one from 98, E911 signpost sent to Rick pending for payment from E911 fund for $549. That is,
I think I would agree, and from trying to recall. Way back when the supervisors. That were here, got this project going, and I think we can all maybe believe that it was paid for through 911 funds, whether or not it was state grant. Whether or not it was the surcharge or whatever. I think it originated with the 911 board. And however they obtained their funds. The problem today is that surcharge is what, dropping?
The surcharge is staying the same. Also in the nineties, cities and potentially the county had the ability to set their own surcharge rate. Then the state came in and it is a flat rate for landlines and wireless callers at $1. So there could have potentially been more money available in the nineties because you could set your own rate.
So
State
if you
came in,
needed more, I mean, you could raise it if you had a
Yeah.
project that you were going to undertake.
yeah. And when they were going through this legislative stuff this last go around to show how educated our lawmakers are, one of them said, well, why don't the locals just raise the surcharge to do it themselves? And the state 911 said, we took that ability away from them in like 2012. So they didn't really even fully understand what they're doing. So there's just also different things in play back then that could help supplement that.
And now the surcharge stays the same. But
Surcharge
state is
stays the
coming in and
same.
Taking back, how much of a percentage of it to?
They are,
Instead of raising.
so we get our full 60%. We get our full 60%, the state keeps 40. They in turn figure out how much it takes for the state to break even, divvy that up with their formula and turn around and bill each local 911 their amount to help break back even. So that is how they got around with not having to lower the local surcharge. We're just going to bill you afterwards.
And so that also is an unknown for the 911 board until the state comes in.
This current one is 2,000 and something, but it varies on the quarter. The state also, while they're taking money during this process, is moving 2 of the 911 call center locations. One will be in the state, the other one is moving to North Carolina. They want one in state and one out of state. One of the data centers, call centers is being condemned. They have to move everything out of there, so that's one of the reasons they're saying they lost so much money is because they have to move all of their equipment. They're working on, and they keep talking next gen 911 and it's in the code. Eventually, when everybody's switching over to like voice over IP, that has to change their kind of their equipment on the landline side. Right now, landlines are trying to pass that cost off to locals. Once it's implemented so far through, it's just cost of doing business that they can't pass that cost along anymore. So they have some updates going with it. But as of right now, there's no timeline for phase 1 of next gen 911.
There was a point in time where the 911 count was quite substantial. I don't know where that account stands today. But
Probably.
anticipate it's not near what it used to
No, so it was substantial because there was money being saved up for a new tower in Wellsburg.
be. Right.
But in saving that money, our repeater and our radio infrastructure going to that has gone downhill a lot. So now we're trying to update that. And kind of putting aside some of those savings. We did have to submit something to the state because at one point we had over $500,000 saved up. They said, why are you saving this? We were saving for a tower. We're still trying to help save for a tower in Conrad. But that's why we had so much money. You can see we're spending it down. I think when I first got on, it was over 500,000. We're down to 300 and something thousand now. But the dispatch upgrade that was helped paid for 911 with all the consoles and stuff like that, radio upgrades, as those are changing, it's been spent down from what it was. So it makes it, the money from the surcharge doesn't go back to the county, but we also don't ask for money from the county. So we're operating on what we get to keep things updated and we just, again, it is the Grundy County 911 board, but we help serve the departments. So this last meeting, Grundy Center Police Department, 911 helped buy them portables for their radios, for their officers. Also helped pay for a mobile radio for their new car, because that is dispatching of equipment. Back before we started saving, each volunteer department in the county, even out of the county, because I think I counted the other day, there's 16 people on the 911 board. Ackley, Applington, if you have fire EMS district in Grundy County, you have a vote on the board. They don't all show up. I've been told Ackley used to be really good at showing up on when the money was getting handed out. So there used to be a program where each volunteer department could come to the 911 board. We're trying to bring that back to help them too. You get 2,000 to spend on radio, pagers, whatever. You buy it, 911 reimburses you for it because we have to track that cost.
To keep their equipment updated.
So in we're looking at 18,000 in the budget this year to help those departments, because that's what the money's there for. I believe the motion that was made at the last meeting was to give that money to in-county departments only. Otherwise, it goes up to 32, 34,000 when you get, again, Ackley, Applington, Parkersburg, New Hartford, Hudson, Gladbrook, Liscum, Whitten, Eldora. Adding into ours because they have fire district in Grundy County. Fire and EMS district in Grundy County.
Are there any other questions? Otherwise,
I'm sure I muddied the waters quite a bit extra.
the decision is, yes, for the signage. You would like to know who's going to be paying for it. And also have guidance as to. Do you want set amounts of signs paid for, or you would just like to have knowledge ahead of time?
Knowledge ahead of time would be a big part of it, because again, if we don't know what we're paying for. How do we know what we're paying for? It's like you guys okay the bills, you go through them, you read, you wanna know what you're spending money on.
And you also would,
And
I
just
guess,
to
want a
track
record
what
to
is,
know what's
yes.
updated, what hasn't been.
Into one, two, one, into one or two,
Two.
so I'm really.
We've had
green on
two. The
that.
June one got waived because
Yeah.
we had some stuff happen. We meet 4 times a year. We meet quarterly, March, June, September, December.
In my limited time on the 911 and limited knowledge. But if you're dealing with the state is going to tell you what you can have, no more. It's not like we can ask them for more, they're not gonna give us more. And by them pulling funds back out and not being willing to raise that surcharge to help these 911s, which is arguably one of the most crucial entities in the county. I think for the amount of money that we're talking about with the signs is huge to their budget and not as big to whether we decide to give more money to secondary roads to help pay for the signs or just tell them they're doing it. I'm of the opinion that I'm sure this was funded by the state. Like every other thing, like I repeated, or I don't like to repeat myself, but anytime state mandates something, gives you money for it, it's your baby. And they aren't gonna put any more money back towards it. Could there be a compromise? Yeah, I suppose, but. I think we're gonna have a lot more bigger fish to fry with 911 coming up in coming years.
Especially with consolidation on the
Yeah.
map, and if,
and
say it would get consolidated, you're coming back again with who's responsible for the signs. Because we're not getting state funding.
if they would have allowed the surcharge to be raised and funded these things better,
Right,
I'd be of a different.
right, I would do.
And it, like I keep saying, nobody's gonna notice another dollar on their phone bill. And that was the easiest solution to this problem.
That's exactly right.
But since the state decided that they didn't wanna raise tax on anything, they put 911 in a bad position.
Well, I made the statement last week, I think, that I thought the fair way to do this was for the 911 board to pay for the signs and Jeff's department to install the signs and maintain them. I still think that's the fairest, however, if the 911 board doesn't have the funds, they're gonna come to us. We're gonna be paying for it one way or the other anyway. So we're either gonna be funding the 911 board or we're gonna be funding Jeff's department, one of the two. It's gonna come to us. So how should we handle this?
I think secondary roads takes care of it.
And we're gonna have to compensate his budget to see that that happens.
Yes.
And the sign.
I mean-
Yeah. Do you have, I mean, like you probably have a line item for signs at all, or how does this? Yeah,
So yes, we have line items for signs, however, we are at our maximum. We receive the maximum rural service and basic that we are allowed by state.
do you spend it all on signs?
No, like grand total wise, like anything more, you cannot you cannot, unless you paid for it out of the general fund. Like it would be a bill directly for you guys to pay.
But what you have budgeted, you don't use all of that right now.
Like in our line items, it comes close. So we, cause we do all of our other signs, stop signs, and you had stop aheads, curves, no passing, stuff like that. Like the actual amount that we budgeted for may exceed, may not exceed. I think last year we exceeded that line item. In signage. If I remember correctly.
Well, I think it'd be simpler. Just to have the secondary roads. Do it all, how to pay for it.
Right.
I was leaning toward your way of splitting things up somehow, but that's confusing too.
Last week I thought that was an easy way out of this.
Yeah, this too.
This one kept thinking differently. I know Jeff doesn't like to hear that, but
I mean,
it is what it is.
Is what it is. We gotta keep the sign.
I do have to get going to a training. Do you guys have any more questions for me before I take off?
I do.
I don't think so, as long as you, the one. I mean,
You muddied it enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, thanks for the information, Chase, thanks for being here.
Yes, next
So-
911 board meeting will be December 4th at 6:15, 6:20ish, because it falls the EMA one. We do them joint because it's a lot of the same people on each.
Do we need to hammer this out today or should we hammer this out at budget time? Any advantage of kicking the
That's-
can down the road
yeah.
to budget season?
That is a question, is there any reason that you need to know, I mean, is there's,
We won't need to know right away, but with Angie wanting our budgets back by December 12th,
Okay, that's true.
yeah. For him to budget. Okay.
the 911 budget's due to the state a little later, like the EMA one is the earliest one, that's February something. That's why I try to have our budgets ready by our December meeting. That way we're not calling an extra meeting in time. So. But yeah, 911 meeting is open for everybody at the annex building.
So how is your EMA budget funded?
EMA budget is funded through the general and general supplemental through the county.
Just if that's only, right?
Yep, and then I used to get, until FEMA was frozen, so much of a chunk through an emergency management performance grant, but it's reimbursement. There's, in Iowa code, it's listed so many ways how you can fund the EMA side, cause it can be its own. During budgeting, it's its own municipality essentially, but you can still only fund it out of the general supplemental, it's just. Your little line item that says this is funding emergency management.
My thought is, how much more is that gonna be placed on us to fund the EMA portion? Also,
Yeah.
in the future.
If there's regionalization. There's a strong pushback against it, but
So there's
I,
More than one thing at play here, in my
There is.
estimation.
and the Doge report is just all of recommendations to the governor right now, but. Heidi with her like ECI board and stuff,
Yeah.
they kind of push regionalization quite a bit.
So
It
I'll
seems
have
to
an
be the
interesting
answer.
report on that one shortly.
Hmm.
Mhm. So yes, there's a lot of changes coming
Yeah.
up, with everything other than,
Potentially coming up. I
Yeah.
don't wanna speak the bad stuff into existence too, but
Sure.
potentially.
What do you wanna do, Heidi?
I'm gonna, if you guys have any questions, feel free
Thank
to
you,
reach
Jason.
out.
Um. Well, I think. By putting it under secondary roads, one thing, that's probably the one place where there aren't gonna be as many changes. Mandated to us from the state. With 911 EMA, everything else, there are changes, could be possibly changes in the works, they're really, talking. We know that they're going to. Have decreased funds for 911. Because they will be paying back money to the state.
Well, my other thought too is 911 cannot present a budget to the state. Their state gives them money, Jeff can propose a budget to us. I don't.
I can agree with everything there,
And we.
except we're talking from next July 1st on. From now until then,
Right.
you gotta decide who's gonna.
And we can yearly change that. If we need to. We'll be able to change things much faster than the state.
Like going forward, it ought to be the secondary roads. But as you brought up, what do we do now? From now until July 1st of 26. I would suggest that secondary roads takes care of it. And bills 911 25%.
How do you come up with 25?
I don't know, pulled it right out of the air.
Until July.
Until July, yes, from now until July 1st.
Plus, they're gonna be responsible to install them and everything. The
Secondary roads, yes.
Cause that does come under there.
Yeah.
It's in code that
And
that,
they're set up to do it.
yeah, that's the other thing. Is that a motion?
Yes, I would.
Okay, in that motion, do you want to also include anything about record keeping for where signage is placed for the 911 board? The
I
secondary
think
roads would
secondary
provide,
roads would do that because they're gonna actually be,
but they will
installing them.
provide that information.
So
to
it
the
goes,
911 board.
Yes, whatever intersection that they need to keep records of what intersection signs they replaced. And then provide that to the 911 board.
What does the county attorney think of that?
I was just gonna say, on that motion, is there any, can you see any
Well, I
problems
was-
with that?
Thank you for giving a little more detail, so you're contemplating that this would be road intersection designation signs, so the green name signs.
The green signs, yes.
Those would be billed by secondary roads to E911 and invoices provided with details as to the intersection. And then E911 would pay 25% of that
Until July.
Yeah.
20,
until July
For the new,
1, when it would then fall under secondary roads budget.
Right.
Is that what we're, okay,
Yes,
fine, no? Because the repair, maintenance, replacement of the posts and whatnot already falls under secondary roads by code, that's mandated.
Mhm.
So just making sure we're all clear on that.
okay,
I think we're heading in the right direction.
so we have a motion.
it's,
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Since it is this and we have been at it for a while, is there any other discussion on that motion?
Jeff, you have any comments?
So in my budget, there's only kind of really one place that would go to fund this. And that's my rock line item.
That's. I thought you would go.
I mean, I can.
Yeah.
I can't cut fuel, I can't cut filters and maintenance and stuff like that, I can't oil. Like kind of like our only real area is our rock. Or construction.
So what would we be talking as far as?
I mean, it comes down to each year, how many signs come up. Where we're thinking it's roughly about, 10 to 20, roughly about 15, so.
and it was $307 a sign, wasn't it?
420, something like that, yeah, per location,
$6,000.
yeah.
So I think one of Chase's concerns with all of this too was that if he were to be billed for the signs, he wants to know ahead of time what the plan is for the signs
Right,
before you present him a bill and say, oh, we've done 30 signs.
so what I would do moving forward. Is when we have a sign that needs to be replaced. We would present to him, say, hey, here's cause we get a quote from Prison Industries. Say, hey, here's a quote, here's a list of locations that need to be replaced. We need X amount of signs. And X amount of posts and stubs and stuff like that, prove or no proof. Not, cause it sounds like the way we have been going with previous administrations. Is that we just, cause we've always been the ones that goes out and say, okay, and then. Send them, send them to us, okay, here's your bill.
Well, I think that's a good idea to give them a heads up.
Yeah,
Like that.
and just wait for their approval, yay or nay.
Yes,
And then they could go decide, look at them.
If they wanna look at them, they can decide whether or not they need replaced.
and if they meet quarterly, if they need to meet more than that,
Or they give somebody the power to,
executive committee or whatever, that,
an executive, like, if they give Chase or Kurt or somebody like, hey. You have the executive power to approve or disapprove
Right.
these signs. But I don't know how they want it, that's on them too. Cause like I said, we will be going out here between Christmas or Thanksgiving and Christmas and checking for fading and missing and. what needs to be replaced.
Is there any other discussion? Questions? Guys, we have a motion. We have a second. So I would call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Any opposed?
Yeah, yay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. What would, I guess what would be your,
I don't wanna fight with the 911 board. So I abstain, actually. Cause I'm on the 911, and I abstain if you're on the 911 board.
yeah,
Do you receive compensation for being on the 911 board?
No.
Everybody here is on a board that receives funding.
So you're saying I can't abstain?
I'm saying you have no legal reason to abstain. Sorry. This is why you're in the hot seat. You guys make the tough decisions.
okay.
You in the hot seat? I didn't wanna be in the hot seat, I just didn't wanna. I think it's a good, I think it's a good thing, I do.
Well,
I think.
it's an advantage to the 911 board,
Yes.
right?
Right.
So is that set in stone, that's not?
Nothing's set in stone.
You vote your conscience.
All right, that has passed. Thanks for the discussion, where I mean, and knowledge, I think we've all learned quite a bit about
Oh, we have.
science, maybe more than we wished, but. Thank you for that. The next item on the agenda is to consider for approval, resolution number 17, 2025-2026, Sheriff's Department employees. That list has been passed around, resolution with a copy of the list. Would anyone care to introduce that resolution?
Move to introduce.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second. Alan, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Vic,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
LJ,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
and Heidi.
Yes. That's that, we have a couple of new employees, they'll be starting or have started.
Correct.
On the job.
We got one starting this week, one starting next week. Maybe, scratch that, maybe two starting next week. I don't remember about the dispatcher, when exactly our start date is. So it's a lot of fire hose that's gonna be going on, trying to get them trained and out on the job themselves. So we may not have a whole lot of spare time in the next month or so. You stop by, so.
It's things done, all right. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is to consider for approval. 2025 family farm tax credit applications, those two have been passed around. Are there any questions, or would take a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, that is passed. Next item is to consider for approval disallowance of family farm credit and authorize chairperson to sign the same. Those also have been passed around.
You're going to it.
There were two,
Yeah.
yes. Would anyone care to make a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, next item is to consider for approval. Proxy vote for American Funds and Capital Group, exchange traded funds, and authorize auditor to complete electronically. Alan, do you have any insight that you'd like to share with us?
They're just, that's their board of directors is recommending these trustees. Not really.
There are no other questions for Alan. I'm taking a motion to approve.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Any board and committee meetings?
The turbine update meeting Tuesday, sounds like those are going well, this is 22, 23 that were completed then. They'll start tearing some of the intersections back out that where they're completed, everything is done. Some of them will be left in for next year's remaining 30. The red lights will be going away.
The ADLS system is currently being worked on.
Yeah, blinking lights,
Yes, so
the technical term, blinking lights.
the blinky lights
Yeah.
will only be turned on whenever an aircraft is detected in the vicinity of the turbine.
Or a very large black bird, possibly,
Correct.
just to be clear.
And they're blackbirds.
Any birds, like flock birds, if it's large enough,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
And they're hoping to have that completed by. Do you recall?
I wanted to say, well, the tower's not up yet, so I
Correct.
thought by the end of the year.
Correct.
December.
That's what I was gonna say, end of December, beginning of January.
Is that tower gonna be on D35 there, or where is that located at?
So on the Steamboat Blacktop,
Yeah.
there's that,
Yes.
there's the
By,
911 technical
Brookfield.
terms I use. Yes.
Steppies.
Yes.
See, that's where they're working.
Mhm. The 30 that they will be working on next year will not be included and they will still have the regular lights
Correct.
because it would be more work for them to try to switch them out.
Switch them out and also then just go in and decommission them next year. However, I believe they were gonna tie in the Ivester.
Ivester, yep. That they have the
Lights.
capability, since they're newer, it was easier for them to switch those.
Yes, so the Ivester farm will also be tied in with the Wellsburg farm.
So.
But eventually they're all gonna go away, right?
Yes. On Friday, I listened to the state ECI meeting as Chase had talked about. They too were moving more towards, larger districts. And in anticipation of that, the Together for Families board that I sit on we've kind of been working towards a district. We have a temporary district board sort of set up. Starting to meet, getting the groundwork done so that when the state says this is gonna happen and it's gonna happen quick, we're ready for it. However, at the state meeting, there was much talk, and even some state legislators that said that that would be maybe a bad use of time, because should their legislation dictate a different region, a different area, it's not all set up yet, everything then would have to change. So they pretty much said, stop. So it's all up in the air. Surprise, surprise. So there will be more, I'm sure, meetings held. We'll wait for further notice. And hopefully it's not, yep, we're gonna have this happen. It's gonna happen in 2 weeks, be ready. But it could happen. Erica, anything else that you have to share with us this morning?
No.
No, all right. Butch, you got anything?
I got the driveway and approach and that pad poured over there last week at the sheriff's office. They finished up these the week before, I think. Just picking up leaves. I made trips with Angie, Chase and Jesse one day, and then Jesse and to pick up election equipment. They're pretty efficient in what they do. I mean, even the poll workers and all that, I mean, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
We had a little hiccup down here at Grundy. In the morning, got her situated and. Yeah, those guys, they run a pretty tight ship in there, so. Thankful for them.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, well, with you guys helping to transport that, so thank you for that.
Yeah, it works out well. I mean. Chase does a good job. I mean, he has a trailer, so we can just wheel stuff into there, wheel it out with big carts and. And they know they're out and where they're going and picking it up and. Yeah, it works out pretty well.
Zach, any other updates that you have? You want to share? I would imagine you helped with the election. Did you pick up the?
We had several deputies that did, yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't part of it, but yeah, they went through at the end of the night, picked up all the. Documents, whatever, and brought them back and.
It was pretty late too, wasn't it? I mean, some of them, when they picked it up.
Yes, we did have really late. Wellsburg was late, and then Rhinebeck was later because they had to wait for the tape to print out for those machines to go to write-ins. And that took a little while. I think it was after 10. And someplace between 10:15, 10:30.
We appreciate your department doing that also.
I think the guys enjoy doing it.
So. Well, that's good to know. And on that election, anything that you'd like to add, Alan, any updates, any?
And I know the girls did a new presentation this year for poll workers, and it sounded like that went really well. They did a fantastic job. Troubleshooting in the morning a little bit, Butch and I got to help with that. We do have the post-election audit that the state mandates that we're gonna do this afternoon. And it was just, they gave us precinct 6. And then we got a little concerned because that was a pretty heavily voted district this time. But it's just the first ballot, first race on the first ballot. The first ballot split is the Dyke Hartford School District. And it's their race for one of their District 1 Board of Supervisors. So when they come in, we get to open up District 6 or Precinct 6 bag and find the 12 ballots that we need to audit.
So, don't forget.
And we've had fielded quite a few calls about the GR public measure. If there's gonna be anything filed for a recount on that, it'll happen in Tama County. And I'm just thinking that it's more than likely gonna happen because it was less than 1%. In favor of, so that's a pretty good possibility that somebody will ask for a recount on that. I think they'll be ready for it, and these two, Angie and Angela, have done a fantastic job. Keeping me on my toes as well.
So
But thank you.
when do the supervisors need to be here? Again,
I'll do our first tier canvas is on Wednesday,
This one's.
this Wednesday
At 9 o'clock,
at 9 o'clock.
and you need a majority of us
Yes, need
here.
a majority.
Okay.
And then the second tier canvas is Tuesday, the 18th.
And that's at 10:30. I think you know,
Can you do that?
that's out.
Yeah, that should work.
And Mark, you're gone Wednesday, right?
Well, I have a dentist appointment, but I can cancel that.
But I'll be here.
You'll be here.
I'll be here.
I can be here.
So
Well, it sounds
we have
like you don't
majority,
need,
so,
okay,
okay.
I'm going to the
What time is
dentist.
that?
All right,
What time is that?
Wednesday.
9 o'clock Wednesday.
Yeah, the state moved those dates to the first Tuesday, second Tuesday after the election. But since it fell on Veterans Day, we had to move it back.
I did attend a webinar on the open meetings law,
Oh,
so
okay.
I've got that box checked off.
Did you get your certificate yet?
It said it'd be 3 to 4 weeks before we got a certificate, so. I attended the one by the Iowa Public Information
Board.
Board, yeah.
Mhm. All right, if there's nothing else to come before the board, I would take a motion for adjournment.
We'll move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
All
All right.
right.
Any opposed? Think so. Thank you all.